Hi Dave, hi Jack, and everyone at the Irish Hotspur. Here are my post-match thoughts on the Bayern Munich game. What can I say about the first half? Bayern were outstanding. The press was immense. Our midfield just couldn't handle it. These are the sort of games we need Maddison to step up in and start producing and find those passes and driving the ball forward. He just couldn't get a foot on the ball. Every time he did, he gave it away. Archie Gray, he's young, he's going to make mistakes. Maybe the occasion overwhelmed him with Bayern Munich, but I want to see a bit more improvement with his ball distribution and things like that. And the goal that they scored, the first one especially, was horrible. You know, Vicario just not thinking, passing the ball out to Spence, and it never got there, and it just basically, you knew it was a goal. As for the second, yeah, we just didn't show up. It was just same old Spurs that we saw at the end of last season, which was very, very disappointing. I'm concerned with Maddison. He should be performing now at this level, and he just can't seem to get going. Ever since those first 10 games, we're seeing the same form we saw out of him at the end of last season. I just don't get it with him. I just need to see more. I can see Bergvall taking his place if we don't sign Eze. But there again, Ange might stick with him. I'm just hoping he has the same ruthlessness as he did with Johnson, and he'll just drop him, same as he does with Maddison at times. But we need to see it more often. We need to see underperforming players benched, because the youngsters at the minute are proving not only are they good enough, but they can compete against the likes of Bayern. When our second half team come on, you know, and Bayern have a strong squad, that second half we effectively won 1-0, you know, because of the way they played. They pressed them. They wasn't expecting it. They were expecting a similar sort of performance from the first half. And Bergvall just controlled that midfield. He was everywhere across that midfield. He had a bit of a lapse where he gave the ball away, but he was straight back. I'm very impressed with Bergvall and his physicality in the game. And the Porro bomb, well, we all know what he can do from the edge of the box when he gets in those positions. That was an absolute outstanding goal from Pedro Porro. Man of the match for me across the board. A bit disappointed with Lancashire not getting on the end of crosses. He was a bit too far behind the play. When those balls come whipping across the box, we need that striker there to tap those sort of balls in. That's what we were missing last season. You know, that ball used to fly across the box at times and there was nobody there to tap it in, which is why we need that number 9 as soon as possible for someone like Lancashire to learn off of, so we don't have this problem again, so he can just basically take over, which is why I think Ivan Toney would be a good signing for us, even though he is 28. Because that will give Lancashire a couple of years to learn from him and basically step up into the first team, which I would like to see. But overall, a game of two halves once again. First half was very similar to what we saw at the end of last season, and it was most of our starting 11, which is concerning. In the second half, when the so-called youngsters come on, you know, I think they played better. Yes, they might not have been playing against the same team, but they were at some point, and they did themselves a good showing. And if they can keep doing that and do it on a consistent basis, and I want to see it consistently, I'm not going to overhype any of them yet, because at the end of the day, we see it every single week, week in, week out. You get a player has a good game, and all of a sudden everyone is like, oh my God, he's the absolutely best player in the world. And then after that, the next game, they just play. Yeah, it's just like they're not even there. Very, very disappointed in Basuma in the second half. I thought he had more control. It seemed like Bergvall was trying to cover him most of the time. I need to see more from Basuma. You know, I need to see him step up to the plate again on a consistent basis. This has always been our problem at Spurs. We have players that will have 1 or 2 games that are outstanding, and then the next game, they're just, you know, they just don't show up. And it's like, we know you can do it. It's why we get so frustrated with these players. because they can't seem to do it week in, week out. And that's what I want to see this season. I want to see these players perform week in, week out for that shirt and give 110% on the field. If they do that and we lose, fair play. We got beat by the better team. But if we don't show up and we just play tippy-tappy football, passing it around the box, not doing anything with it, not trying to probe defences, then that's concerning. And that's why, you know, we need that strength. We need that competition for places. I'd like to see at least 2 first-team players come in the summer before the transfer window ends, and hopefully they can bed in pretty quickly, because we're going to need it, because we start the season very soon against Leicester away from home as normal. But then, you know, let's see how they come out, and hopefully we can have the same start as we did last season. In the meantime, come on you Spurs, in the Big Ange we trust.